Hey y'all, and welcome to episode 96 of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. My name is Kay, and this is my YouTube channel where I chat about all of my knitting, sometimes crocheting. Today I do have a crochet project, two to show you actually, two finished objects. But yes, this is my YouTube channel where I chat about all of those things. Today is Wednesday, April 15th. It's about 6:30 in the morning. It's super early. I'm getting this recorded early so that Eric can come in here for his work today that he has to get done. Sharing an office right now. Yep. But today we have a lot to chat about. So first, let me tell you where you can find me. I am on Instagram and Ravelry as The Crazy Sock Lady, and we do have a group for this podcast on Ravelry. If you head over to Ravelry, up at the top, hit the groups tab, search Crazy Sock Lady Podcast. It's gonna pull up the group for you guys. That's where knit-alongs happen. Sometimes there's giveaways, some fun chatter. So head over there and check everything out if you have not already. There will be links down below this video to everywhere that you can find me, show notes for this episode, links to project pages, shops that I talk about. All of that is going to be right down below for you guys. So on today's episode, we do have a lot to chat about. So I have a finished object. I have a new design that I'm releasing today that I'm going to share with you guys. I have a work in progress that has not even been cast on yet, but I want to chat with you guys about that. Oh, I actually have a couple of finished objects. I'm looking in front of me and there are a couple more that I forgot about. So quite a few finished objects to talk about. There have been a lot of things that came in the mail since the last episode. And I'm also doing a collaboration this episode with Natalie from the Knitty Natty podcast. So I'm going to save, I have some questions that she has sent me that I'm going to answer later, and she will be answering the same questions over on her episode that goes up this week. It's a fun little collaboration that she's doing with different podcasters so that, excuse me, you guys can get to know us a little better. You guys can put the questions in to her. That's how she did it this time anyways. She had up on her Insta story questions that you would like to be asked. So I'm not sure if she'll do that every time or if she'll use the same questions. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had fun reading through the questions and I'm excited to answer them for you guys. And make sure you run over and check out the Knitty Natty podcast. It's one of my favorites. I watch every time she puts up a new video or an episode, I watch it. She does a lot of tutorials. She has some designs that are out. She is just so bright and bubbly and like a breath of fresh air. So head over and check out Natalie and make sure you stay tuned to later on in the episode and I will answer those questions. So first up, Ravelry group stuff. We have a couple of knit-alongs going on. And I am just drinking coffee today because it's super early. All right, so Ravelry group, we have these Stash Busters cows still going on. It's a year-long knit-along that I'm co-hosting with Julie from Twin Stitches Designs podcast. Basically, it's just to use your stash, and there are ways you can earn extra entries. It's just a fun knit-along that we're having to inspire us to use up our stash of yarn. I do have a video here on YouTube where I go into full details about the cowl, and I will be sure to link that down below. And then Julie and I do both have threads open for the knit-along in our separate Ravelry groups. So you can go over to either of those groups, check that out. You can enter into both groups, just make sure you're a member of both groups. It gives you an extra chance to win some prizes. We also have the Rainbow Connection sock cowl, which is this pattern that I released April 1st. The knit along for this is gonna run until July 31st. It's just knit a pair of Rainbow Connection socks. And you could knit, if you knit multiple pair, you can enter as many pairs as you knit, because I know some people have finished a pair and they're talking about doing their second pair. So make sure if you do more than one pair, you can enter as many as you do. So this pattern is out now. The knit along is going on until July 31st. And if you are a maker of any kind and you want to donate prizes to either of those knit alongs or for giveaways on the podcast, just contact me at the email address that is linked right down below this video. So finished objects. I finished, let's start with these first. So I think last episode, I might have showed you guys, I'm trying to remember which one I was on, but I had finished this dishcloth, started this one, so I did finish this one. And then I also did this one. And these are Grandma's Favorite. I will link the pattern down below. I don't have project pages for the dishcloths, but I will link the pattern down below. It's by PJ Allen. And I've just been using up scraps, as you can tell. I have a ton of leftover bits. Then I also had this dishcloth already done. So I thought they're very bright. I mean, that one's got some dark gray, so it's not as bright, but they're pretty bright, fun spring colors. So I'm gonna put those 4 together. And then I also did 2 pot holders. So these are my absolute favorite pot holders. I have been making these for years and years and years. I started making them when we lived in Florida. Austin would have been, I don't know, he was in kindergarten in Florida. So he's 13 now. It was years ago. But these are amazing. They are double thick. They're crocheted, but they're super simple. You're just doing a chain stitch and then a single crochet. That's all you do. And you start out, so it's called Bev's Fold In On Itself Pot Holder. So you start out right here with your chain, but then you start working in the round. And I wish I had one that was not done yet, but it works up. There's no way to show you this. You work it up in the round and then it kind of folds down on itself and you seam it together. And then it has instructions for how to do a little chain to make a little hook in case someone wants to hang it up. But when I first discovered this pattern and started making these, I threw away every single like pot holder type thing that I had. And I have a drawer full of these now. These are the absolute best. I've made them for family, friends. They all love them as well. They're great. So for these, I, again, used up scraps. That's how those turned out. So I'm gonna put the 2 pot holders, the 4 dishcloths, they're gonna go in the package that's going to my dad and his girlfriend Lisa with the baby blanket, my dad's socks. I thought it would be a fun little gift. I've never sent Lisa anything like this that I've made, so I thought that would be a fun little thing to include. I don't know her that well, so I'm not sure if she will like handmade things. But I don't know, I know everybody, I love these dishcloths and these pot holders. Everyone I've made them for has loved them. So I thought it would be something fun to include in there for her. And then I also finished, oh, I will link the pattern for the pot holder as well down below. It's a Bev's Turn In On Itself pot holder. The dishcloth pattern and the pot holder pattern are free. So I will link them both down below for you guys. And I didn't say which, I don't know, I feel like you guys probably know, but this was 100% cotton yarn, just scraps of peaches and cream, sugar and cream, stuff like that I've had for ages and ages. So the second finished object that I have are these socks. And for these, I use Nitty Kitty Bags yarn in a Siberian colorway. And I knit them up on a US 1 2.25 millimeter needles, 64 stitches, slip stitch heel flap. And I did these as part of Julie of Twin Stitches Designs sock challenge, where you were to knit a pair of adult socks in 1 week. I did not get them done within the guidelines by the end date of her challenge, but they were still done within a week. So I'm counting it as a win. Here's the patterning down the front. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen I posted that I just started out messing around with that. I really wasn't sure it would be anything I would write up, but from the post on Instagram, there are a lot of you who want this pattern wrote up, so I am working on it. It is a pattern that doesn't have a lot of give in it, so I'm not ready to even send it to testers yet. Blocking it did help. It always fit when I put it on, it was just a tiny bit snug. Just a little bit snugger than my socks normally are. So I blocked it on sock blockers and that did help. They fit perfectly fine now, but I want to work it up one more time. I just want to double check something, see, I don't know. I just want to make sure that when I put it out to you guys, it's 100% as it should be, because I want your guys' socks to fit. So I'm going to work it up one more time, and then I think if that goes well, I will be ready to get it out to testers. So there's another look at it. I love it. Super fun. And the yarn is just gorgeous. So that is my finished object. So that's it for finished objects. Works in progress, like I said, I have something that I'm gonna start. I didn't bring anything in to show. I have a couple of designs going, which if you watch the day in the life vlogs, you do get little sneak peeks here and there of new designs. But other than that, the only thing I have going is a pair of socks that I'm working on for a tutorial. And I haven't made any progress on those to really show them. And then what else? Oh, I have my mindfulness sweater, the test knit that I'm doing, but I haven't finished the body yet. So I don't think I'm gonna show it again until the body's bound off. But in here, this is a bag from By the Lakeside. It hasn't even been started yet, but I thought I would show you guys the yarn that I'm gonna use for my April Desert Vista Dye Works socks. So this is Radioactive Zombody. Here's her cute tag. Here is the yarn. Very, very bright. If you can't tell, I'm still into pink. I painted my nails pink again. Just finished pink socks. Gonna cast on some more with pink. So I'm very excited to start these. I think I'm gonna start them today, and I'm planning on doing this pattern in this. I'm very curious to see how this will work in self-striping. I think it's gonna look good. Possibly, I could be wrong. I've been wrong many, many times about this particular thing, but I'm gonna try it and see how it goes. So next week, you guys will get to see how that looks. All right, design talk. I have a new design that is ready to be released today. By the time this goes up, the pattern will be live on Ravelry and Etsy. I will of course have links down below for you guys. I don't have it here to show. So this is a sock pattern that I designed for Signature Needle Arts, and I sent it off to them many, many months ago, and they had it in kits on their website for about 6 months, and now I have the rights back to it so I can release it on my own. This is the Secret Garden socks. I will put photos up here since I don't have it here to show. It is a very fun, gorgeous cabled sock pattern. I love this one so much. It was a lot of fun to work up, a lot of fun to design. The yarn that I used for this design is Malabrigo Sock. I cannot remember, and I didn't write it down, what the colorway name is, but it will all be listed on the Ravelry page and on the pattern, of course. So head over and check that out if you are interested. I have a coupon code right now that you can get 15% off the pattern, and that code is SECRET, and that'll work on either Ravelry or Etsy. I hope that you guys enjoy that one. Like I said, it was so much fun for me to work that one up. I had a lot of fun designing it. All right, I have some mail to show, but before I do that, let's go ahead and do the questions from Natalie. So I have 5 questions here. The first one is, what made you decide to start a podcast? So we lived in North Carolina when I started a podcast, and that's really when I discovered podcasts. I had never watched them before. I knew nothing about that whole community of podcasters. I'd never heard of any of them, nothing. I can't even remember how I stumbled across a podcast. I think the first person that I followed that had a podcast was Amber of Yarn Junkie. I know she was the first one I ever watched. And I just enjoyed it so much. And then through her, I found when she would mention other podcasts or shops, I would look up things and kind of just discovered this whole world that I knew nothing about. And it was just so fun and so exciting to find out that there were so many other obsessed knitters out there in the world. It just blew my mind that there were other people that were as obsessed as I was, that there were podcasts where people sat and talked about their knitting, and I just completely fell in love with it all. I thought, what a great way to connect with more knitters, because that's something I've always loved. Everywhere we've moved, I've started a knit group, whether it was at our church or just something I started up. I've done that everywhere because I love connecting and getting to interact with other knitters. It just feeds my soul. I don't know, there's just nothing else like it. Having people that understand your passion and that are as passionate about it as well. So I thought, what a great way to connect on a whole different level with people that I would never get to connect with otherwise. I would never know otherwise because they're not local to me. So I thought, why not? Just do it and see what happens. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I put the first one out. I can't remember the date, but it was in September. It was my birthday month. And it went better than I thought it would. Much better. And here I am today. So I don't know. That was years ago. I can't remember how many years it's been now, but yeah, that was quite a while ago. And I thought it would be a great way to connect with other people. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite thing to comfort knit? Well, you guys can probably all guess that. Socks, of course. I always have socks on my needles. Always. If there is ever a time I don't have one, like I finished one and I have no other ones, I immediately cast one on. It is just something that is completely mindless for me. I've done them for so long now. I've done so many pairs that, and I should say vanilla socks are my comfort. All socks pretty much I find comfort in, but definitely vanilla socks. I always have one on the go at all times. Question number 3 is, what is one knitting or crochet skill you want to become better at? So this one I kind of struggled with thinking, what would I want to become better at? But I know what I would want to learn. So that's what I'm going to answer for this one, because I struggled to think what's something that I know that I want to become better at. Not that I'm perfect at any of it, but I was just struggling with that, thinking of one particular skill. But something I would love to try and learn is steeking. I've never steeked anything. So that's something that I would really love to dive into and attempt. Question number 4, what is your favorite knitting tool? I pulled out a couple of things actually. So my first and most used is these little light bulb stitch markers, or progress keepers, I guess, since they come undone. But these, I love them. I use them. If you've been watching for a while, you know I count rows on my socks. So I place one of these every 10 rows. It just makes them easier to go back and count the rows of a leg of a sock or a foot of a sock by tens. So this is one of my absolute favorites and most used. And then I love this little thing by Susan Bates. I feel like it has a name, but I can't think of it. I'll link below. I think they're on Amazon, so I'll link it below. But it has a crochet hook on one end, and then this end is just pointed. So I've used this many times if I drop a stitch. It's a tiny crochet hook, so it's perfect for anything you're working on really, but I love it for socks. If I drop a stitch or I need to fix something, I need to drop a stitch to fix something, it's easy to go in with this and pick that stitch back up. And then I've also used this end before for a cable needle. If I'm somewhere and I forgot to put a cable needle in my bag, but I have one of these, I'll use this as a cable needle as well. So those are my 2 favorite knitting tools. And the last question is, how long did it take you to get in the groove with knitting? Examples are knitting without looking, knitting while watching TV or talking. So I'm not really sure on that. I would say a year or so probably. I know I knit for a long time sporadically before I got really into it and it's all that I did all the time. I would say once I started doing it all the time, I don't know, 6 months, a year maybe. I'm not positive on that. I've been knitting for so long. I can't remember how long. I think it's just something that happened naturally. I was a crocheter before, so I always think that that kind of helped me transition into a knitter and to be more comfortable with the feel of the yarn in my hands and more comfortable with watching TV or talking and not having to look. So it's completely different crafts, but I just think that helped me feel more comfortable transitioning into that. So yeah, I can't remember exactly how long. It takes a while. You have to get used to it. But I could, and I still can, crochet without looking. So I just think I felt more comfortable attempting to knit without looking. And it definitely, there were mistakes, lots of mistakes in the beginning. I do remember that, but it's just something you have to kind of work at. And as you get more comfortable with it and comfortable with the feel of it in your hands, it's just, I think, something that you will find that happens naturally. And those are the times when I do remember starting out that if I would be like, okay, I'm not gonna look and I'm gonna knit, I would mess up. If I was focusing on it and trying to really focus on the feel of it in my hands, that's when I would make a mistake. But the times when I would just naturally be sitting and knitting and just look up to see what was on the TV and not think about it, that's when it would go okay. That's when I would not have as many mistakes or anything. It would just feel natural and flow natural. All right, so those are all the questions from Natalie. I'm so happy that she did that. Thank you so much, Natalie, for putting that together. It was a lot of fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Natalie is answering the same 5 questions over on the Knitting Natty podcast. So make sure you head over and check that out. I think the last thing that we have today is mail. Like I said, I did receive a good bit of mail since the last time. Some donations came in for the podcast, so we're going to go through those. The first thing that I received, I got 3 sets of stitch markers and progress keepers. I'm going to pull them out of their bags here so you guys can see them. They're in these cute little bags. Don't worry, I will put them back in there. And this is from Jennifer at Hand Stitched Life. I love how they're presented on these big safety pin type things. They're super cute. So this one has a little bear and then a bunch of the little ring ones, which these kind are one of my absolute favorites to use. This one has a chicken, and then these are all coordinated to match. And then this one is my favorite. It has a Starbucks. I would say that's like a Frappuccino with all the whipped cream on the top. Little heart to match, and then a bunch of the little rings. So these are super cute, and I'm going to put these in Q2 of the Stash Busters Cal. So I'm going to list all 3 of these as prizes for Q2. Then I also received, let me find the card, here it is, from Stitchin' Sisters 2.0. And I will have all of these shops linked down below for you guys. I received 2 bags from them, one for me and one for a prize for the podcast. So this is the one that I decided to keep. I think it is very springy And I just love this color right here. So here's the inside. Nice box bottom drawstring bag. And then here's the one, and I love this shape of bag. I almost kept this one because it's perfect for 2 at a time socks, but I thought I don't see these as often, so I think it'll be fun to give this shape of bag away. It's kind of like a boxy bag. Zips open on the top, and if you have 2 50-gram cakes of yarn, you can put those right in there, and it's just absolutely perfect for 2 at a time socks. So there's the handle right on the top. So this one will be going into Q2 as well. And then I also received, oh, I'm gonna leave that in there. I received a package from Trisha at Joy in the Stitches, and she sent a bag for me and then one for you guys. And she also sent my family some face masks. So that was so sweet of her. So this is the one, they're both the same. So I left the one that I'm gonna use for Q2 of the Stash Busters Cal in this all tied up. But this is the one that I'm keeping. The only difference is the zipper color. Pretty butterflies, and this is the perfect size for socks. The next pair of socks that I cast on after my April Desert Vista Dye Works socks are gonna go in here. I love the inside being like a natural color like that. Just makes it so easy to find all of your little goodies that fall down into the bottom there. So thank you guys so much for donating prizes to the podcast. I received one more thing, and we're actually gonna do a giveaway for this one right here on today's episode. So this is from Knit One and Stitch Two. I've shown you guys my bag. Let me grab it real quick, because it is right over here many times. This one right here. You guys have seen this a lot because I love it so much. They sent one for a giveaway. So look how cute this is. Coffee and more coffee. It is so cute. There's the inside. It's got a couple little pockets. And here's how these work. So you could use it if you are someone who can walk and knit, you could do that. But they're perfect for putting down inside of your purse. That's what mine is for and what it's going to be used for when we actually leave the house and I take knitting with me. But yes, we're going to do a giveaway for this on today's episode. So obviously it's a coffee themed bag, so I'm going to assume that anyone who wants to win this bag enjoys coffee. Let me know down below, comment down below to be entered. How do you take your coffee? What is your favorite way to take your coffee? Do you like it black? Do you like it with cream and sugar? Or what's your favorite creamer to use? I like the peppermint mocha. Just let me know below how you like your coffee, and I will draw a winner on the next episode for that. Speaking of winners, I want to let you guys know if you participated in Q1 of the Stash Busters Cal, there's a video, I'll put it down below, where I announce all of the winners for Q1. Most of you have contacted me, but there are still a couple who I'm waiting on information from. So if you want to head over and watch that, if you participated and haven't watched it yet, and then get in touch with me if you are one of the winners, so that I can get all of those mailed out to everyone that has contacted me. If you're waiting on a prize for me for Q1 or the 10,000 subscriber giveaway, those will be going out this Friday. I've scheduled a pickup. I figured out all the shipping online. I was pretty proud of myself. So everything should be shipping Friday. All right, and that is all of the knitting for today. Really not much chatter either. We are all still at home. We're in week 3 of the boys' online school. Still been going pretty well. There have been some hiccups along the way with technology stuff, but for the most part, it's been going pretty good. Wyatt and I have been baking a good bit, which has been fun. He really enjoys baking, and I think it's something that's really good for him to do because he pretty much does it all himself. I help him here and there, but he, reads the recipe, measures everything out. So I think that's been a good learning thing for him. And you can get a peek into all of that over on the Day in the Life vlogs if you head over and check those out, which I recorded one yesterday on Tuesday. So as long as I get it edited and up today, there should be one up today with this podcast as well. So thank you guys so much for joining me today for episode 96, and I will see you guys again soon. Until then, happy knitting. Bye.